Hello peeps, how you doing? Welcome to the Court of the EDI Digester. Good afternoon, good evening and all that stuff, right, okay. It's still time to join us, warrior. Come and join us, we're having a great time. It's still time, look at my pinned tweet, right, or the link below. I've gone for the chai latte this morning. Ooh. Anyway, so, we have news from America. We do. Oh, say, can you see? And it's Ohio. Oh mio mio, it's Ohio. News on the gender ideology front and on moves towards eradicating this particular virus from our societies. In a piece from Ben Johnson in the Washington Stand, links again as usual downstairs, exclusive, we will win this. Ohio Republican announces plans to override DeWine's veto of HB 68. Okay, so pin the ears back. I understand, don't know much about the American legal system, but this is involving the gender, so-called gender affirming care, which is actually medical harm. So Ohio lawmakers have scheduled a special legislative session that will likely overturn the governor's veto of a law intended to protect children's safety and women's sports. The bill's lead author was told the Washington Stand exclusively that momentum is on our side and we will see this through. So they are attacking the inclusion of men in women and girls sports, which will obviously affect colleges and schools, which is where the iatrogenic harm comes with the adoption of a trans identity, which is obviously a huge red flag. So we're talking here about a blocker in part of the process of a child moving towards a lifetime of medicalization under gender affirming care, which is of course actually medical harm. So the bill's lead author has told the Washington Stand exclusively that momentum is on our side and we will see this through. Governor Mike DeWine vetoed HB 68, which would bar transgender surgeries or injections of minors and not compel female athletes to shower or compete with males on December the 29th, the Friday before a major holiday weekend. So they passed a bill saying, get these LARPing men out of all women's spaces and stop medically harming children. And Governor Mike DeWine vetoed the bill. Whatever for? What's in it for you, Mike? Hey? Little the touch of the old cross-dressing. Hey? Are you susceptible to the odd suspender? What is it? Come on, Mike, tell us. Hey? You're fond of silky gussets, aren't you, man? Maybe he's a chaser. Who on earth would do that? Who on earth would do that? The evidence is now so overwhelming. Who on earth would do it? Well, Governor Mike DeWine would obviously do it. On Tuesday, the first working day of the new year, Speaker of the House Jason C. Stevens announced that he had called a special session of the State House of Representatives for January the 10th. Numerous lawmakers have promised to override DeWine's veto, which passed by a veto-proof supermajority in both chambers. Momentum is on our side, and we will see this through, said State Republican Gary Click. He told the Washington Stand exclusively, we will win this. I hope so. I really do. Ohio, America, we all deserve better than this gender ideology rubbish that's being spat around. I haven't engaged, he said, with hurting families or tearful victims, nor spent sleepless nights and long hours speaking to professionals, leafing through dry medical journals and well-written books, researching the trends from Ohio to the Netherlands to give up at the 1 yard line. This is a man who knows his stuff, old Gary Click. Yeah. The lives and future of Ohio's youth are far too precious for me to quit now. This is a man we can get behind. Click told the Washington Stand, we will see this to the end with a determined resolve to make the Buckeye State a safe haven for women and children. They cannot afford for me or my colleagues to quit now, and we won't. Ohio's legislative rules require a 3/5 majority, 60%, in the House, 60 votes, and Senate, 20 votes, to override a veto. The Ohio State Senate passed HB 68 by a 24-8 vote before the Ohio House of Representatives endorsed the bill 61-27. House Republicans will have the votes necessary to override the veto, agreed State Republican Angie King. Later on Tuesday, Click revealed on Washington Watch with Tony Perkins that he and the governor came to loggerheads over one issue. He wanted me to allow the puberty blockers. He wanted to put the children on the puberty blockers. Said Click. Whilst decades of surveys show that most adolescents grow out of gender dysphoria, they grow out of their ideation by adulthood. If they're put on puberty blockers, 98% will go on to opposite sex hormones and then ultimately later to surgery. This is true. This is true. This guy knows his stuff, and DeWine's picked the wrong fight, I think. Publicly, DeWine said he vetoed the bill over concerns that teens would commit suicide unless they went under cross-sex hormone injections or other procedures. There's the big lie. There's the big lie. Yeah. But Republican Click called the choice between unrestricted transgender procedures and piles of underage body bags a false dichotomy. We know they have other comorbidities that lead to suicidal ideation in people who identify as LGBTQ. Right? They ideate on suicide as well. If they're going to ideate on the fact they've got the wrong body, they're going to ideate on suicide. It's the way it works. In fact, 2 studies from the founder of a clinic that carries out transgender procedures in Germany found that trans-identifying people who undergo transgender surgeries or medical harm or who play sports are more likely to feel depressed and lonely. What a surprise. I've cut bits off of my body and made myself a caricature of what I was originally, and nobody wants to talk to me. That's going to be the end result. Isn't it? Painful isolation if we're not careful. Painful isolation. That's so horrible. So horrible. But the stories, as it says here in the article, the stories received little media coverage. Very little media coverage. Click, a legislator and Baptist pastor, said the override factor has the strong support of his colleagues in the Republican-dominated assembly. Before he was done with his speech, they were texting me, time to override, Click told Perkins. They were ready to drive down that someday to override the governor if they could. Numerous Ohio Republicans have criticised the governor's veto. State Republican Jenna Powell called DeWine the worst governor in America who failed millions of women and children today by vetoing HB 68. I've worked on protecting women's sports for 5 years. The governor has tried to stop me every step of the way, Powell disclosed. We must and will override the veto and protect Ohioans. We're seeing this now in various places. And I want to see more of it in 2024 as we move forward, folks. Let's get going here. A ban on these medical practices, a ban on these medical practices being supplied by the NHS in any format or by anyone that receives any NHS funding. It needs to be put into the purely private domain and then legislated out of existence, and the insurance companies can make the insurance so high that even they won't carry out any of these operations on anybody. That's where we need to go. We need to socially squeeze it down. Socially and culturally squeeze it down, and then we can just let it go. The young kids, 14, 15, they're already fed up with what do they call them? The they-thems, and nobody talks to them. So they're already fed up with all this crap. So it will disappear, but that still leaves us with the problem of what we're going to do with 15 years of people that have been made stupid by these belief systems like CSJ. And that's what the warrior teachers do. That's what we fight against all the time. Trying to get people to think, critically think, and understand free speech. That's what it's about. Anyway, so that's enough for me today. I'll see you later, all right? Have fun.